Hi, I'm Jen from Kiss of Metal, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use a slightly deeper shot plate like this large limpet. So there's two ways that you could use this. You could either use a sheet of silver or you could use a ball of melted silver, and both you can press into the impression. So I'm actually going to do it with both, and then we can look at the results from both methods. The way that I like to make sure I'm going to have enough silver in the ball to press into the mould nicely is by filling up the die with scratch silver or silver grain. Fill it up so you think it's perfect level, and then put a little bit more in it so that you make sure there's plenty to push all into the detail. Then melt all that silver into a solid ball. And with the sheet of silver you need to anneal it, so make sure you heat it up until it gets to the red point. And with the pushers, you've got the choice of the flat pusher or the tapered pusher. Now for anything that is a bit wider than the tapered pusher, I would always use the flat pusher. So in this instance, I would use the flat one. So when you're putting the pusher onto your hydraulic press, you need to make sure it's nice and central. So that is both ways. So you want to check from the front that it's central, and then make your way over to the side and check that it's central that way as well. So there's two polyurethanes. We've got the red one and the black one. The red one is softer, so that's good if you've got thinner silver that you're pressing and maybe into a shallower mold. And the black one is harder, so that's good if you have a lot more detail work that you need to press the metal into, and also if you're using a thicker bit of silver as well. And that's the one that I'm going to use for this. When I press the metal for the first time, I always like to stick it down with a bit of masking tape to stop it from skidding around. Now the part that you're pressing on the die, you need to make sure that is central to the pusher. So make sure you do it exactly the same as when you're putting the pusher on the hydraulic press. Check it from the front, make sure it's in the middle, and then check it from the side, make sure it's in the middle as well. And it's important that it's the part that you're pressing that you're putting to the center of the pusher. Anneal the metal again to make it softer, and cut all the excess silver that's around the shape. And repeat the process until you are happy with the amount of detail that you've got. After a few presses, I still felt that I wasn't quite getting enough detail, so I got a ball of melted silver and put that on top of the sheet of silver and then pressed that just to push the metal fully into the mould. You could also use other things. You could use cardboard, or you could roll up some leather and use that to press the silver in as well. Okay, going in with the ball of silver now. Again, I would stick that one down until you've done the first press. Once you've done that first press, then the shape of the mould is going to hold the silver. Make sure it's central, so look from the front, look from the side. Again, make sure it's the bit that you're pressing that's in the center of the pusher. Anneal it and repeat the process. so after a lot of pressing, I have done both of them. So this one was done with the sheet of silver, and then this one was done with the ball of silver. So I noticed a couple of different things with each of them. The sheet of silver was great because the size, as long as you start with a sheet of silver that's well over the size of the die that you're using, then you never have to worry about it trying to reach the edges. So when you press it, it beautifully makes a crisp edge. And it was doing really well with the polyurethane. Initially, it created a really nice dip straight away, but I felt that it wasn't pressing into the die enough to get the enough detail. So what I did was had a little ball of silver. After I did it a couple of times with the polyurethane, I then got a ball of silver and put that in the dip and pressed that as well, and that really pushed silver into the design. So it gave really, really good crisp detail on this one. The only thing I would say with sheet is that it's very lightweight. So if you were planning on making something like a pendant, then you might want to cut it out and then solder it onto a back plate, like a thicker back plate, so that it just gets a little bit more weight to it. But yeah, it looks beautiful, really, really nice. The ball of silver took a little bit longer. Initially, the shape was perfect for the mold, so when it went in and you pressed it, it very, very quickly picked up the detail, which was great. The only thing that I found was that it took quite a lot of presses to then try and squeeze the metal to the size of the die plate to pick up the edges of the design. So this one took a lot longer to press. It probably took me about 8 or 9 annealings and then pressings, whereas the sheet was a lot quicker. It was more like 4 or 5. But yeah, great results on both of them. One thing I would say with the ball of silver as well is that the weight is lovely, it's great. So immediately you could just solder on like a little jump ring and make that into a pendant or a charm. Different methods of creating the same thing. So yeah, it's worth trying both. The beauty of jewellery making is that sometimes it is a little bit of trial and error, and you will get different results if you use different thicknesses of sheets or a different size ball initially. So just give it a go and have fun with it.